What is up, everybody? Nick Costa here, and welcome to video 3, the one everyone has been waiting for. If you've been following this series, I am in the process of restoring a 68 Ludwig Downbeat kit, and now, finally, we have everything we need to get this kit put back together. First off, I want to apologize to everybody. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for your kind words, your feedback, and your messages asking when video 3 was coming. The reason why it has taken so long is because of the fact that the 20-inch hoops on this drum kit were really beat up, and I was trying to find a replacement set. Unfortunately, finding a set of 20-inch bass drum hoops from the 60s is a lot harder than you think. You can find a lot of 22s, you can find a whole lot of 24s. For some reason, 20s are pretty hard to find. I even contacted my rep at Ludwig to see if I can get a new replacement set of hoops, and they even told me the new hoops are thicker than the hoops from the 60s and they wouldn't work. I had a few leads on finding replacement sets, but once they finally saw them, they noticed that they were 22s instead of 20s, and I was out of luck. Finally, I got tired of waiting, and I decided to call on a friend to help me out with this. I contacted Mike Pietro. He is the owner and the main drum builder of Mastercrafted Drums, goes by MCD for short, and asked for him to refinish the hoops for me. I myself don't trust with spraying. I am not a fan of rattle can spraying. I know a lot of people do that, and for those who do it, that's great. I just don't like the look of it, and I don't trust myself with doing it. That is why I called Mike to ask to help. So what Mike did is he refinished the hoops for me. You'll see in this original photo, this is what the hoops look like. They were beat up, there were chunks missing out of them, they were not in good shape at all. What Mike did is he taped off the center of the hoops so he didn't ruin the original wrap of them. Then he applied a ton of polyester to the hoops to fill them in and give them a nice smooth shape. He sprayed them black and then put a satin finish on them. So now we have what you see in front of me here. When I gave these to Mike and asked for his help, I told him that I wanted the 10-foot car show rule. So for you car guys out there, you're familiar with that. 10 feet away, car looks perfect in immaculate shape. As soon as you start getting closer, especially on black cars, you might start to see some of those little imperfections here and there. I was totally fine with that with these hoops. Again, they're from the 60s. They're gonna be beat up, they're gonna have nicks and everything else. So if they weren't perfect, that's okay. I wanted it to look really nice from far away. That's exactly what we have here, and it's finally time for us to put this kit together. Before we do, however, there is one little thing I want to let you all know. This video is going to be a compilation of a bunch of videos that I've taped from the end of restoration video number 2 up to today, which is February the 16th of 2019. The reason why is because I figured that if I already have parts for some of the drums, I can put them together and then compile everything. One little recap, however, with that transition era snare drum, I remember I was talking about the inside being painted gold and trying to keep that white finish. A lot of you were chiming in saying that those transition era snare drums did not have a white finish. Doing some research and contacting my reps at Ludwig, it turns out that is the case. There were a few transition era snare drums, however, that did have that white finish, but not many of them. So because of the fact that those transition era snare drums for the most part had a natural finish, I did decide to just strip the inside of the shell completely back to its natural mahogany wood. Enough of me talking, let's finally start to put this kit back together. For this 12-inch tom, we only had one original hoop because the bottoms were taking off. So what I did is I tried my best to find a matching hoop, which I could not find. So I ended up looking around at my local drum shop and was able to find one that was the closest in weight to the original hoop. So what I will be doing is I will be putting the original hoop, since it is a little bit lighter and thinner, on the bottom because it'll resonate just like it did back in the 60s. The top hoop will be a little bit heavier, so that means that it's going to dry out the attack a little bit, but that's totally fine. I'd rather have that. Plus, if I accidentally hit a rim shot, I would probably have a better chance of surviving with a thicker hoop rather than a thinner one. So let's go ahead and get that on the drum. So we have one drum down, and we'll get the floor tom next. Okay, same thing as before with the 14-inch hoops. We're going to put the original on the bottom. Both toms are ready to go. We have to get a couple wing nuts just for the floor tom leg brackets and the tom mount bracket. The other thing we're waiting on are the bass drum hoops. So once we get those bass drum hoops in, we'll be able to continue. But for now, we'll take a break, and I'll see you when those hoops arrive.
One eternity later.
And here it is, finally put together for the first time since starting this process. Like I've said before, this is a 67 or 68 downbeat kit. It's a 20-inch kick drum, a 12-inch rack tom, and a 14-inch floor tom in beautiful sky blue pearl. The snare drum is a transition era Ludwig snare drum. You can see from the badge right there. And if maybe I can get a shot here. It's a little hard to see, but you can see that we stripped the inside back to the original mahogany wood. Now let's talk about drum heads for a second. On the toms, I went with the Remo Weatherking Classic Ambassador coated heads for the top and the Weatherking Classic Ambassador clear on the bottom. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this series, the heads are a little bit larger than the traditional Remo head for the fact that if you do have an old kit like the one in front of me, they can get out of round. So since they're a little bit larger, they will fit. You don't have to worry about trying to really force them on. For the snare drum, I went with the Weatherking Classic Ambassador coated head for the batter side, and then I just went with a traditional Remo snare side Ambassador head. On the kick drum, let's go around to the front so you can see. The batter head is a Remo Powerstroke P3 Fiberskin felt tone head. This is the head that was designed by Ron Dennett and released by Remo, where the felt strip is actually attached to the drum head itself, so it doesn't make any contact with the bearing edge. Let's go around to the back so you can see. So as you can see here, the felt strip is actually attached to the ring that goes around the inside of the head. They do say since the felt strip doesn't make contact with your bearing edge, you should get a better sound. For me, I like my bass drums to be wide open. If I do any muffling, I might put a little pillow on the inside. Most of the time I'll use a felt strip, however. Never had an issue with a felt strip, but I figured I'd give this head a shot, see what it sounds like. For the batter side, I went with the Remo Powerstroke P3 clear head. That is my batter head of choice. I've used it on 18-inch bass drums and 22-inch and even 24-inch bass drums. I can always get that sound that I am looking for. Now that the drum set is finally put together, we can do a little sample, see what it sounds like. And that is a wrap for this restoration. Thank you all for checking out all of the videos. If this is the first video that you are watching from the series, make sure that you go back to check out video 1 and 2 to see what the drum kit looked like and how far along it has come. There's one final thing I gotta do, which is add a Ludwig logo to the front head, which is no big deal. And it is ready to go for my first gig, which is actually tomorrow. So again, thank you so much for checking out this series. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, see ya.